Good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Chris Edwards. I'm here with my co-host, Gwendolyn. What's up, Gwendolyn?
Ah, not much. I'm working on some things over here. I was like, oops, let me get that together.
It always at the last minute when you got to get ready to go on, something will happen.
You're like, what was that? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm good now. I'm here for
All
the
right,
news.
okay. So today is Water Cooler Wednesday, and as you guys can see, Mr. Ron Foster is not here, but he is here in spirit, and I know he's on assignment right now. He's doing some big things behind the scenes. Wink, wink. So, Gwendolyn, what's going on?
Okay, well, if I must, because I have been for the past few days really engaged with the storm chasers in the Texas Panhandle. And so
Okay.
I am low key looking at my phone and the radar. But I just got an alert that the storm that's coming today should come behind like around 12 o'clock. So I'm feeling pretty good that maybe it's shifting.
Okay.
Fingers
Okay.
are crossed here because that hail and stuff, man.
So there won't be any loss of power, hopefully, during this
Exactly. I was like, I don't need loss of
rebroadcast.
power right now. I don't need the loss of power.
Yeah. Okay. So
And yourself.
it's a big day in the news. But before we even get started, let's say some good mornings and hellos. So at the top spot, our gold person for the day is Mr. Adrian. What's up, Adrian? He says,
Woo!
I cleared my calendar for this. I am here. He is here today. He's in the building. He's in the back. He's waiting for it to come on to the front stage with the rest of us.
Love it.
And then we've got Reese. She's in the silver spot. And of course, rounding it up in bronze, we've got Lisa. Good morning, Lisa. How's everybody doing this morning? And then
That
we've
is
got Mimi is
awesome.
in the room as well.
Now
So
here's
good
the
morning.
deal. Where is Hannah? Hannah didn't bring in the bagels or the donuts, the coffee. Like, what
No, and
happened?
she's normally here. Listen, I hope
Yeah,
that Ron not being here scared you off and you're not showing up because Ron's not here. We
we're
said we
good
was gonna have a
people.
show.
I like
Yeah.
bagels and donuts too. I don't do coffee, but I like bagels and donuts too.
Listen, I miss a good donut and I miss a good a New York bagel at that. I miss a
Right?
good bagel sandwich, especially with my gluten allergy. I can't really just go on the street and pick up a regular bagel, but I still miss my bagels. So let's see
Yes.
who else is in the room. Um, Jazzy's in the room. Good morning, Jazzy. She says, "Good morning, beautiful people." I hope everyone's able to get outside today, at least here in the Northeast. We're having a beautiful day. I think we're supposed to hit around 77, 80 degrees in the Delaware Valley, maybe even a little bit higher in the New York area, but it is beautiful. I went out this morning around 5:30, did my 4.5 mile walk this morning, got it in. I was going out there. I was probably the only one on the trail. I didn't start seeing people till I was actually coming back. But it's beautiful out. So if you get a chance today, go outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. Because I know we're supposed to be expecting some rain, I think, starting tomorrow, running back until Monday. So
Now, what
get out there.
time do you start your walk? Because I have plans tomorrow to get back to my early morning power walking, slight jogging thing.
So I have to admit, over the last several months, I've been very lax. I haven't really been doing it. I only got back into doing my runs and my walks maybe about 2 weeks ago. And I have to give full credit to my husband for kind of motivating me and two of my best friends that don't live here. One lives in Florida, the other one lives in England. And we used to do a group thing where we would all 3 to 5 times a week check in and post our stats on what type of exercises we've done.
Mhm.
And we kind of got back to doing that now. So we actually have a running list. So every day there's a report of what we've done. And we put it out so we see it. But typically it depends. I'm trying to get back to my old habits. So I will probably go out like around 5:30,
Yeah.
6 o'clock. And then that gives me, I normally will do an hour and 14 minutes for if I'm doing a walk for 4.5 miles. If I'm doing a run, I'll typically do it in like 30 minutes and come back. And then I've been adding the gym back into my routine. So yeah,
Yeah.
around that. What about
Understood.
you?
Yeah. Well, January, February, March was different for the entire family. So that kind of went out the door. But with May, like I read this book. I read this book this past weekend by Seth Godin called This Is Strategy. When I get a good weekend book, that talks about the work that we can do and how we are the change, and the work that we put out creates that change.
Mm,
Get rejuvenated. And so the hubs and I decided 2 weeks ago, May 1st, we got to get back to doing our evening walks after dinner. But I was on
yes.
a morning walk along with the Pilates and rowing. And I get, since we're all kind of going through something right now, we probably didn't want to do our normal something. I'm at a place of it's Q2. We had a lot going on in Q1. Let me settle in, get back to what I do, and
Yeah.
and exercise is great for the mind as well, right? It lets you release a lot of things. In nature, for me, it's so freeing. So Gwendolyn is ready for tomorrow. I got my playlist. I'm gonna get into it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. It's funny. Playlists are really important because I know when I was running really like religiously, starting back in like 2017, I had a playlist that I ran to every single day.
Mhm.
And what it was really good for was it helped me keep pace. So when I got to
Yes.
certain areas, like certain mile markers, I knew I should be on this particular song and in this part of the song. So I
Yeah.
always knew if my pace was slow or if I'm fast. I'm gonna actually get back into that. But
Yes.
before we move on to the topics of the day and get to the water cooler, let's see who else is in the room. Bryson is here. He says we're just a couple weeks away from the Black Met Gala. Kicks off next Monday. Yes, it does. Even before that, Bryson says, "What's up, Chris? What's up, Gwendolyn? What's up, everybody? Happy Hump Day!" In the last we in the last month of April, heading over to May, or I think I'm going to say the last day of April, heading into May. Yeah, definitely. I can't believe how fast this year is going. It feels like
it ain't moving fast enough. That's for damn sure. But yeah,
I don't know.
It's moving
It's only been
quickly.
4 months, but it feels like 10 years under a certain regime that we're living in. To me, at
Ooh,
least.
Lord bless all me. Yes, yes.
Let's see what else. Who else is in the room? We don't have a lot of people in here like we normally do as of right now, but that's okay. As the morning goes on, we'll hopefully get more people to jump in. Good morning, Aya. Is it Aya? Yeah, Aya. Grand Rising, Gwen and Chris and everyone. So let's get to some hot topics, some water cooler topics. So I wanted to talk about first Pope Francis, his funeral. Now, all the world leaders showed up over the weekend for the Pope's funeral. They were all asked to wear black suits or black attire to this somber gathering. And of course, we didn't send our best, as the United States doesn't send its best anymore. Our commander in chief showed up in a blue suit, not black, and he was the only one. And actually, we have some footage that we can play from that event. It doesn't get any better than that. I'm going to rename him Sleepy Cheeto, the Orange Commander in Chief. Not only, all right, let's pause this. Not only did this orange thing show up in the wrong attire, he slept and chewed gum through the service. How disrespectful. Comments?
Okay, so here's my comment on that. I believe he is indicative of the mindset here in America that is all about me. If you think about how people drive, how they operate, the ideas of following any kind of rules of law don't apply because it's all about me. It's America first. It's me first. It's like, seriously, kid, really? It's not all about you. We work in a large environment, every single one of us. No one gets through this world by themselves. Not one. And when you are a guest in somebody's house, you should follow the rules of that person's home. But for this to be a funeral, and people were told beforehand how they want you to dress. Now, I'm in the South. We do a lot of cowboy funerals. So you can come in your t-shirt and your jeans and your boots and your cowboy hat, because that makes sense. We're having a cowboy funeral, right? So come as you are. This was not that service.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're so old that you've fallen asleep, bliss. Yeah.
I mean, they were calling the Biden Sleepy Joe, and I mean, he half the time he wasn't even sleeping. This man was literally caught on camera sleeping. Okay, disgusting. But you know what though? That's par for the course with this guy, this President Tang, as some in the chat refer to him as, which I agree. All right, next topic. So I want to talk about something that was on the Rachel Maddow show last night. And this is indicative of what's going on. We kept saying that, oh, you know, everyone thinks that they're only coming for the immigrants and they're not going to, you know, come for you. Well, people, we've been telling you they're coming for you. And this is a perfect example. I'm just going to read some. Armed federal agents ransacked a home last week of a woman who had just migrated from Maryland. I won't say migrated, moved from Maryland to Oklahoma City, and her husband was going to be following her afterwards. Now she was there with, she moved there with her and her kids. During the middle of the night, U.S. Marshals, ICE, and the FBI broke into their home and ransacked their home, woke them up at gunpoint. Now let me state this first. She is an American citizen and her children are Americans. They were awoken out of their sleep with guns pointed at them. They said that they were there because they were there for the property. All right. Now, mind you, she had just moved there 2 weeks ago. So someone had lived there previously. It seems like as if that there were issues with the previous tenants. But still, she identified herself, said that she is not the person that's on the mail that's delivered there. They saw that. They walked away. They took all of their electronics, their phones, computers, and they took their cash that she had on hand. That cash was supposed to be used for food, for transportation, gas for her cars, all those things. And you know what? Let's play a little bit of that clip from the Rachel Maddow show from last night.
Kind of all you need to know about this president and his character and the character of his leadership and the government that he runs and what he is doing to this country. Just watch this.
Managing your maintenance tasks and your maintenance
commercials
team can be difficult.
Always.
From the paper mess.
New at 10, a family traumatized after armed federal agents busted into their home as they were sleeping and took almost everything they own. Problem is, they were not the people agents were supposed to be looking for.
News 4's Spencer Humphrey is here with their frightening ordeal. Spencer, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, get this. That family just moved here about 2 weeks ago from out of state. And this is how their life in Oklahoma got started. They say they told federal immigration agents they had the wrong people, but those agents kept treating them like criminals, even though they're all U.S. citizens.
Fear.
Because I did feel at times I felt I was going to die.
So much fear.
I kept praying. I said, God, please let me live through this moment.
Humiliation.
I was a zero. I was nothing.
Pure disbelief.
I just couldn't understand, how is this happening to us?
All just for wanting a fresh start.
You come to Oklahoma and you get treated like this. For what?
This woman, who we're calling Marissa, and her 3 daughters came to Oklahoma from Maryland looking for a slower, more affordable pace of life. They rented this house in a nice, seemingly safe Northwest Oklahoma City neighborhood. Her husband planned to join them this past weekend, but any semblance they had of comfort went out the window when 20 men armed to the teeth busted through it Thursday morning.
I don't know who they were. They had guns. It was dark. All the lights were off.
They were federal agents, Marissa says, with the U.S. Marshals, ICE, and the FBI.
And I kept asking them, like, who are you? What are you doing here? What's happening? And they said, we have a warrant for the house.
They ordered Marissa and her daughters outside into the rain before they could even get dressed.
They wanted me to change front of all of them, in between all of them.
The thing is, the suspect names on that search warrant were not Marissa's or anyone in her family's. They were, however, names listed on mail still arriving at the house. Former residents, perhaps.
We just moved here from Maryland. We're citizens. That's what I keep saying. We're citizens.
She says they didn't care.
We weren't criminals. Why were they treating us like criminals? We were here by ourselves. That we didn't do anything.
The agents ripped apart every square inch of the house, taking their phones, laptops, documents, and their life savings in cash as evidence.
Like, I have to feed my children. I'm gonna need gas money. I need to be able to get around. Like, how do you just leave me like this, like an abandoned dog?
And when they left, they told her something.
I know it was a little rough this morning. It was so denigrating. Like, you do all of this to a family, to women, your fellow citizens, and it was a little rough. You have literally traumatized me and my daughters for life.
This family has virtually nothing.
And I said, when are we gonna get our stuff back? He was like, it could be days or it could be months.
Nothing but questions.
Well, what if I would have been armed? What if you're breaking in? What am I supposed to think? My initial thought is we were being robbed. My daughter's female daughter's being kidnapped.
Nothing but likely lifelong trauma.
We have guns pointed at our faces. Can you just reprogram yourself and see us as humans, as women, a little bit of mercy, and care a little bit about your fellow human mate, about your fellow citizen, like fellow resident. We bleed too. We bleed just like anybody else bleeds. We were scared. You could see in our faces that we were terrified.
Marissa says the agents refused to leave any contact information or business cards. She believes the agents wore logos connected to ICE, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the FBI. Today, the U.S.
Yeah, so quite disgusting. These are not immigrants, and even if they were immigrants, they do not deserve to be treated like subhuman. But you know what, though? That is the point. This administration believes in humiliation and degradation of human beings.
Okay, so I'm trying to
go for it. Let it speak your mind. Speak your mind.
Okay, so let's go with this. Let's go with this. The people who believe in this regime, the people who take these jobs, we know they have some mental problems, you know? We know that these people delight in punishing others. We know these people have no problems putting a woman in a room surrounded by all these men and having her get dressed. Like this is part of it. Because anybody who actually has any sort of moral compass, code, whatever, would say, okay, let you and your daughters get dressed, yada, 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 because you don't have to do stuff this way. But there are people who get into the military because they have a want to shoot somebody. They start with hurting the squirrels. They take somebody's dog. That's how they get started. Then they purposely get into a position that allows them to have power over other people, allows them to do such degrading things, because at the heart of hearts, that's who they are. Yep. That's who they are. You don't have to do stuff like this. Even if you are ordered to, you don't have to do stuff like this. Like you don't. And to make comments, to laugh about it, to leave and do whatever, that's all par for the course. These are the people. But this is America, is it not? This is like typical colonizer behavior. Let me come in, ransack somebody's stuff. Let me do whatever I can do legally to these women, to these kids. But and then go about my business.
But here's the thing: everything that they did was illegal.
Well, I know that.
I mean, coming in the middle of the night, you have a warrant, whatever. Okay, do what you need to do. But one, they didn't leave any contact information in regards to how to get in touch with them. Because if this is a lawful act, there should be some type of paper trail in order for these people to get their things back, or to be at least notified what went on and why it went on, and get some type of reparations for it. That's one. Two, I want to just hit back to what you said about them hiring the worst people. A lot of these people that they're hiring are people that have been dismissed as former disgraced police officers or law enforcement, period. Because we've seen in other cases where these officers that have records or have been honorably or unhonorably discharged are being hired by this administration to do these things because they don't have any scruples. They're willing to do whatever just to make a quick buck. But here's the thing. If you can do it to someone else will do it to you eventually one day.
Yeah, but you're asking for a lot. Okay, so let's go back to, in my opinion, the base. Colonizer behavior. You had some Europeans coming over here thinking they claimed and found something. Just stole intelligence, stole brilliance, stole land. Like, that's what they do. And then you get in your head that this belongs to me. I have every right to do this. I have every right. So you end up with people with like a garbage mentality, but for them, having that badge, having that backing gives them the license to do ugly things. And then you have a justice system that's kind of like, well, I get they had the wrong address, but they didn't know because they're there for this. And let's just check it. She thought somebody was breaking in. Now, we want to bring up Breonna Taylor, because if you come into somebody's house in the South, there's a very good chance they got a gun.
Yep.
So why would I not grab my gun? Because I'm thinking that I'm getting robbed. Someone's doing some sort of something. So why wouldn't I try to defend my household and my kids? And the next thing you know, she's dead. They're like, oh, it's wrong house, and she shot at us, and so now if she doesn't die, we arrest her for attempted murder. It's so ridiculous, but the system was built that way.
Yep.
It wasn't built to protect people who look like me.
Nope. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I mean, this is just one story that's highlighted. And the one thing that I'd like to point out that Rachel put a focus on is that a lot of these stories are being told because local news are the ones telling the stories. And then they're being picked up by national broadcasts. These you would never hear about this if people aren't reporting this. People aren't coming forward and telling the stories, protesting. Like, that's another thing too. All the protests that we're seeing, they're being covered by local news affiliates, and then the larger broadcast networks are picking them up and showing them. And this is one of the reasons why Trump and his administration are backpedaling and taking back a lot of the things that they're trying to do that are harmful to people because of all the protests. I don't think they anticipated people coming out every weekend and protesting. They thought, all right, they'll protest 1 or 2 times, but they did not anticipate the backlash that they're getting now. And what I actually like about it is it's not even us that's protesting, it's them.
Well, it needs to be them.
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes said it on a late night with Stephen Colbert. She said, yeah, as white people, you should be embarrassed. You should be. But you have to keep protesting. She advised him to go look at like other protesting videos from Black folks from back in the day.
Yes.
And I get that they say, oh, well, she's a comedian, so they're laughing. No, sister was serious. She was like,
yes, she was.
We will be liking and resharing your posts. All right, that's the work we're going to do, because we're not getting back out there again. As she mentioned, we are learning the new line dance. We're getting like our fans, our boots and whatnot. We are done for a little bit.
Listen, she's been on this media tour where she's been saying this everywhere, because she was on The View, I think, like either this week or last week, and she was on some other talk show saying the exact same thing. So, I mean, we just need to kind of sit back. We have our form of protest, but we're not going to be out in these streets doing the work that we've been doing in the past. And then on top of it, we've talked about it here, all these protests have been the same type of protests that we've been doing, peaceful. But the one thing that's different is you don't see the cops being called on these people.
May I just have a quick little moment for word choice, code language. I was telling Ron yesterday, I absolutely hate when people say, well, if they would just comply. That's the most racist shit that you can ever say to somebody. Because what you're asking me to do as a person with the melanin is if I would just assimilate, if I would just relax my hair, be an easier Negro to be around, if I would just be more professional, if I would just cease to exist,
Yep.
That's the way the good Lord made me. We will never do that. That is a no. That is all the no's. Right?
I hear
It's
you.
not about compliance. Right?
I hear you. I'm loving all the comments that are in the chat. Brian, yeah, 60 Minutes, Paramount is about to be bending them knees. Yes. Here's the thing. Paramount is in the middle of a merger, and of course, CBS News is under that umbrella. So that's where you're starting to see like the 60 Minute producer, longtime producer of that program, just resigned. I believe it was last week, because he said that he is not going to allow this administration to dictate how he runs that program. This is a well-established and recognized program, and I don't blame him. You know, you're seeing a lot of people resigning and quitting their jobs because they refuse to bow down to this person who thinks that they are a king, which he is not.
Yeah, I have to wonder if the resigning is the right way. Sometimes I feel like you may need to stand the course, because if you don't do it, someone else will do it, right? So, I mean, like, everyone has to do what's right for them. I get it, which is why I go back to Wanda saying, she's like, yeah, you guys are out there and you're doing shit, but you need to amp up your protest. That's real. It's peaceful because we're not there. The moment we're there, then it becomes, you know, you're argumentative, you got an attitude and all this, and you're rioting. Our sheer presence is a riot. We stay in a calm state of rage. You know what I mean? So I get that he resigned, but I feel as if sometimes you need to like create a ruckus. You resigning means they'll find some other lackey to run on in there and do whatever. Okay, so you resign, and now what you gonna do? Like well, what's the next move?
Right. I think that is the fair. When you resign that position, you open the door for them to put someone that they want in there. But then also it's like the question is, well, how do you stick around and just be beat down by that system, or, you know, be run over by it? So I get where you're coming from, though.
Well, these are more professional people, you know what I'm saying, who haven't, and let me, you know, I shouldn't assume it, but I don't mind being the ass today. These are professional people who probably have not had to fight for a lot of stuff.
Well,
right?
That's true, too.
Because if you're in the right camp, things just kind of work for you. And so now you're at a place where I don't understand when people don't have morals and this is wrong. You're going to have to get all your buddies and be like us at the water cooler, having like conversations about what y'all about to do in here. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But,
all right. So with that being said, let's just switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about, we just passed the 100-day mark, and Agent Orange just did an interview with Terry Moran from ABC News yesterday that aired. And I have to say, I felt as though, I'm just going to read what I wrote. He doesn't understand the law that he's supposed to govern. He's disrespectful and unintelligent. And I think that interview just completely highlighted everything that we've always been saying about this person. He doesn't know how to answer direct questions. He's always going to try to, I'm not even going to say pivot, just change the subject completely and make it about something it's not. You know, I think Terry did a okay interview. I think that he could have pushed him harder, followed up with some more questions, more in-depth questions, but it was, I'll just say, okay. Him, the orange agent, I have no words. So I'm just going to give it to you. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe saying okay is very gracious. It's nice. At what point as a journalist do you just call someone out on the BS? Because
like
at
a
some
liar.
point you have to say, like, I get he's the current sitting president. So there is a way to respectfully tell somebody those are lies. And it's going to be really hard to have this conversation, this interview, if we continue doing lies. Or you just spend the whole entire interview debating him, saying, okay, well, according to my numbers, this, and this was the economy. According to this, and that. The moment he finally did it, he was like, well, that's not being very nice. We ain't here to be nice.
Right.
At what point do these journalists stop saying, like, I can't, see, I like, why not just walk out? You know what? Clearly you got something to say. I'm gonna go ahead and walk out and let you have this moment by yourself.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and I could not be a respected journalist because it would have went completely left from the very beginning. Here's the thing. We all know that he's a liar. I believe that they should be saying that you are lying, you are a liar. But the problem is that it's so hard to get into that room to even get him on camera to have a conversation. The fact that he's there, he's able to ask these questions. He has to walk that fine line, that tightrope, to be able to say, all right, I'm going to let you answer these questions. But then the problem that I'm having is they're not fact checking him in the moment and calling him out and saying you are lying. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
So looking at the comments.
You're muted.
I am? I'm muted?
Oh, wait. No, sorry. Hold on. Go ahead.
Okay.
I got unplugged. Go ahead.
I thought it was okay. So looking at the comments, I get that they have pre-approved questions. I get all that. But this is where I go to a place of and hear me. I've been a militant since I was like in school. So I got years of being a smart ass. This is where you may say, this may be my moment. This may be my defining moment. It may be a temporary nail in a coffin that needs to go away anyway. But once you're in the room, you can do whatever your heart desires. You really can. You have options. So if he says, I picked you, although I didn't really know who you were, but I picked you, this is your special moment. You know what? You're right. This is about to be a special moment. But I don't believe a lot of these journalists are at a place where they want to get into some inconvenient good trouble. They're not there yet.
Yeah.
They're still thinking I can come in here and do something and he will pretend to have some sort of, I don't know, intelligence.
He's not.
Like, really,
he's not. No, I love Dr. Tachi's response. Journalists do need to ask hard-hitting questions, but I think there is also trepidation in the journalism community, which is understandable. But if journalism is to survive, they have to push back. I 100% agree. These journalists need to stop being pussyfooting around him and saying the hard truth. You are a liar. When he's up there saying something, hey, stop lying. You're lying. Yeah. You're a liar. Yeah. And I think this is the problem. They should have been doing this from day one back in 2016 when he was running. If they would have done that, there's no way we would have had alternative facts become a part of our lexicon. It's ridiculous. No. There are no alternative facts. Facts are facts and lies are lies. Point blank. Now we can disagree on things, but a fact is a fact.
Here's the other part, if I may add on to Dr. Tachi's thing about, the world of journalism, the world we're living in, period. There are more options than we realize. I understand that when you're a part of something that is legacy, right? Mm-hmm. You believe if I do this, it's over. Those are the lies we tell ourselves. We have options now. We are not operating in the same world we were operating when we had Walter Cronkite and Ted Koppel and all them people. That world is not here. We have options now. People are journalists all over. If mainstream media does not cover the news, someone else will, and they will create a ruckus because the environment says this deserves to be told. The next thing you know, someone's picking it up. There is more than one way to get news out there. I get that this is your job. You got kids to feed. You got your salary, your 401k, all of that. I get it. There is a time when you have to ask yourself, what matters more, my values or this money?
But here's the thing. This is why broadcast news and cable news is doing so poorly right now, that they're having to be sold off because these major companies can't afford to keep them because no one's watching them because they're not doing their jobs. And then also it's become entertainment. I'm not coming to you for entertainment. I'm coming to you for the news. If I went into entertainment, I'll go watch Netflix. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's get to one more topic before we start to bring some people into the room. I saw something this morning. It was on BBC News, and it talked about the first quarter of this year for the economy. It contracted 0.03%, and this is the first time that we have a contraction in the government since 2022. Decline in government spending and 40% on imports. And I know that I believe Ron and Jazzy had a conversation yesterday as far as the docks and goods and them not coming into the States. And May 10th is going to be like that cutoff when the last ships come in from China and they're, we're not going to get any more goods. So there might be a run on products for this summer. This is clearly stating that, the Dow is down. The Dow has been down ever since he came back into office. The stock market has had his worst quarter in since what 2008, I believe, when we had the big crash back then. And then with all the tariffs, people are starting now to feel the effects of it. I'm bombarded now with car leases and buying cars saying, come on in before the tariffs start next week or the week after. People are being serious about this. If you're not following this, this is going to happen.
Okay, so if I can speak from a retailer standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
the people who are saying come get stuff right now because this is
I
coming.
think it's doing a little bit.
Oh. Go ahead.
That can be seen as creating a sale because it's like, hey, if you don't get it now, you're not going to get it. But can I give a little bit of truth? The people who order stuff, say for the holidays, that stuff is not done in March. It ain't done in February. It's done last year when we were doing stuff like, so for us to put up our holiday wares in October, we didn't order that stuff 5 months ago, 6 months ago. It's ordered way before that because I gotta do a photo session for it to get the catalog to my printer so that can get to the post office. We work in the future. Now, I get going forward, you're going to see some issues, but a good chunk of stuff was already purchased some time ago. You may not get a football-shaped barbecue pit for Father's Day, all right? And you may not get some other new things that could have been shipped in quickly, but a good chunk of people made a decision last year of what they're going to do for this year. It's not done in the same year, if I may just say that as a retailer. Right. Correct.
But then also a lot of companies do order stuff early in the year for the end of the year.
Right.
It just depends on which part of retail you're in. And actually, yeah. And another thing, like I can look at let's look at Apple. Apple, what they decide to do. Oh, wait, there's the doorbell. Oh, who do we have coming in? Who's joining us?
There's a doorbell?
There isn't. I heard a doorbell.
Who gonna answer? Who wants the doorbell? Because I ain't moving.
I'm not moving. It's Adrian.
Hello, sir. The doorbell.
He's still ringing the doorbell.
We're still ringing it.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, fam. How are you today?
We're good. Welcome to the chat.
I'm in.
I'm just sit back and relax and then continue to let y'all finish. I'm not going to interrupt until it's really time up.
Well, let's let Chris make his point about Apple, and then we'll
okay. So what I was saying was, Apple, in anticipation of these tariffs, what they did was, they're huge. They're the largest, probably the largest company on the planet right now as far as electronics and in sales. They hired their own planes. And they flew all of their stuff. They made much more batches of like iPhones and iPads and computers and had them shipped over. So they're here now. So more than likely, the stuff that they're going to need for the rest, maybe throughout the summer, early fall, will be here. Now, the other thing though, they do their iPhone releases in September. Most of that stuff is in heavy production right now, so that they are ready to launch in September. All the designs and everything was finalized last summer. Early productions of those things went last fall. So when we're getting those new iPhones, the iPhone 16 last year, iPhone 17 they were doing test run productions last fall. Now they're into the heavy cycle of all the major productions because there's no way you can get millions of iPhones ready to be just shipped out launch day in September. So, what Gwendolyn is saying is absolutely accurate. But then, not every company can do that. Not every company has the money and the manpower to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And as you mentioned about the next version of something, I think about the people who are YouTubers who are given a product to play with and live with and make a video, who has to hold it until launch day. Is like, that stuff, there's a lot of stuff that's already out there. But let's let Adrian, if he will, bless us with some knowledge. Sir, what you got?
No, actually, it's the point of the whole shipping in them planes and getting them all flued out. Didn't they move the production also from China? Some of their future production from China
So
to the places.
Apple. So here's the thing. So Apple is very strategic in what they're doing, and they can kind of forecast and see things out. They know that they can't put all of their quote unquote chips in one bag. So they have production they have a huge now production in India, and moving forward, they would love to get the majority of their production done either in India or Brazil. So here's the other thing too. A lot of iPhones and stuff like that aren't just put together in China. They're being assembled in other places around the world. So yes, to answer your question, they're very strategic. And then also, they have plants here that they're starting to do a little bit of things. I remember a couple of years ago when they relaunched the Mac Pro, the garbage can edition, they actually built that and assembled it here in the United States. Actually, it was in Texas. They built a plant specifically to say that this was built in America. Now, that wasn't their most successful Mac. It was very lackluster, but the fact that they showed that they could do it on a smaller scale. Now, Apple is a global company and they need huge production. Like I said, you can't pump out millions and millions of iPhones in one little plant. You have to be doing it across the globe. So they can do that, but like mom and pops and smaller places can't do that. They can't do that.
No, it can't be done. I know for myself, some of my photography vendors are overseas, right? And so you start thinking, how much can I eat before I have to pass it on to my customer in terms of physical product, because we do physical product, right? It will be interesting. It will be interesting, but I don't.
But it's not just the small businesses.
It's so hard to put like our foot on base here, only because I'm thinking like, yes, you want to have a great season for the latest, greatest tech device, but people are trying to decide, do I get that or do I get these eggs?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just
you haven't built your hen pen yet?
You know what? Let me tell you, I looked at it. Now, when I was a kid, my daddy gave us chickens. I had a rooster. His name was Louie. We used to call him Lulu. But at a certain point, the chicken has to go and cross the rainbow bridge. I'm not big on helping animals cross the rainbow bridge, so I don't have any chickens.
So here's something. Even if you're not raising chickens, one of the things you can do, and I think we've talked about this on this platform before, is create your own little garden. If you have a house or if you have a home, have a garden in the backyard. Like I remember growing up at my mom's house, till this day, my mom still does a garden every summer. So, throughout the summer, we're always getting, fresh produce, and it goes into the fall. I mean, they grow beans, cucumbers, peppers, basil, mint, oregano, like all that stuff. And we're in the process of getting ready to move, and we're gonna have a little bit more space, and I'm gonna actually start to grow some produce. Like I want to grow some spices, and then also some tomatoes. Like that's something that I grew up knowing how to do, but then also just knowing where we are in today's society, we might have to depend more on that.
I have an arrow garden.
I was going to ask, do you all actually do a lot of your cooking at home? Because I think there used to be like cooking at home is so much cheaper than eating out. But
absolutely.
But I think that it's moved. I think the line has moved.
Well, a lot of people order, they DoorDash, they do all those things. But here's the thing. It also, I believe, depends on how you were raised. My parents always cooked Sunday through Thursday. Everyone knew Friday, you fend for yourself. The stove don't turn on Friday, so you can go do whatever you want to do. If there's leftovers, you want to go get Chinese food, that's how you do it. But Sunday through Thursday, we had hot meals, home cooked meals. Sunday meals were starting to get prepared from Friday evening. Okay, that's how Sunday dinners was, and even here. Yes, and you got, especially if you're making rice and peas, you got to make those beans soak overnight for 24 hours at least. So, in my household, my husband is the main cook, but we both cook. So we cook about 5 days out of the week, and sometimes what we try to do, we'll cook, enough that we can have throughout the week, so we're not having to do it because our schedule is a little bit crazy sometimes. But I think a lot of people are going to go back to cooking and eating at home versus taking out, because takeout is expensive, and then on top of it, you don't always know what they're putting in your food, and that's a problem. Why I'll just say Americans tend to be a lot more sick than people from around the world, because people around the world they cook, they grow their crops and they cook. Americans, we do not. We're all about the fast food. Everything's fast. You know, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. I mean, I can't tell you how many new Chick-fil-A's that we have around here. I'm not a Chick-fil-A fan.
He's like, slow down.
But like, we're all about fast foods. I mean, do you guys cook?
I cook. I cook. And I cook to create leftovers. It's just two of us. The husband, if it's his turn to do something, he would go find a meal. He would go out and bring in a meal and do something. Gwendolyn cooks, right? So when I went to the grocery store about maybe some months ago, 2 or so months ago, I wanted a gallon of orange juice. And I was like, we're not doing $8. That's a no. But because I'm from a different era, I know there is orange juice frozen concentrate.
Yes.
And Gwendolyn got her concentrate. I got a pitcher, and I make my orange juice once a week. Because I'm not paying for that. It's convenience. I get it's convenient, but I'm not paying that. I believe in concentrate, people. Concentrate in 3 cans of water. I am good.
my mom still does. Like, we grew up on the concentrate, and my mom will still do it. But she doesn't even need to do the pitcher. She'll just have that in the freezer. If you come out, get a couple of spoonfuls, put it in, make a small.
I never thought about that.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's frozen, so you can do it on demand. We do like HelloFresh boxes where they send you, like it, and for me it works out because they're giving you everything that you need. And right. We blackify it. You know what I'm saying? We got to add all
yes.
They don't give you enough of that. And you know, hopefully there's enough for leftovers, but the leftovers are typically lunch the next day. So it's probably half and half.
Yeah, I think that this summer you're going to see a lot of people going back to home cooking, and especially now that it's warmer, grilling, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because no one's sure about what's going on. Like, from day to day, you don't know what's going on with this country. So back to basics, as my mother would say.
You were making the point about the tariffs and stuff earlier, and how it impacts smaller businesses. But you see how they were fighting Amazon about putting on those tariff prices.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's on the list. And let's talk about it right now. You know, so yesterday I believe Ron was talking about he mentioned it yesterday about how Amazon was going to be putting on their website the price that they were originally selling for, and then the tariff price.
Right.
From what I understand, the White House called Jeff Bezos and had a conversation with him, and now he has retreated from that and saying that, that was a mistake. So let's see what happens. But let's be clear. If you go on Amazon right now and you look up a product and it is one price, and then you go back the next day and that price triples in price, you know what that is from. That is from a tariff. That has nothing to do with inflation or whatever, because we've been going through inflation for the last couple of years, and we don't see price increases that dramatic. You see a couple, maybe a couple cents here and there, and maybe $1 or so, but you're not seeing like 3 times the price for something. So we know where that's coming from. And what bothers me is the fact that you can call a company and say, I don't want you to do that because it's going to make me look bad, and then you cow down to them. No, you do not decide my bottom line. You are a business. You're a publicly traded company. You don't listen to him.
Exactly.
Price transparency. Who would have ever thought that price transparency would be a hostile political act?
Exactly.
Like, seriously? And
ridiculous.
Like, when did that happen? And the fact that, so if you think about the people who sat in the conference room, had a conversation, yada, 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 made a decision. Because someone like him should not be in the day-to-day.
Absolutely.
So you get your friends and be like, say, man, I'm trying to do some things, and you out here doing stuff and it ain't working. And then it becomes, you need to go back and like fix that. Like, so should I not keep my job? Like, didn't you hire me to make really good decisions for our customers?
Yeah.
Should they not be aware? Like, is that not customer first? I mean, I just want to know. Yeah. Foolishness. But I don't get why they are so quick to turn tail. I don't get it. He is one guy who
But
like if you give him 5 minutes, he'd probably be asleep.
He's one
Like, what
petty
is the
guy.
deal? Like, he got
he's
something on
weak.
YouTube.
Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, all right, bullies are always weak, and he is the weakest of all the bullies in the world.
And his stock is not high. His stock, like, if you let's take Target as an example, because I made a point on someone else's post that diversity, equity, and inclusion will always be good for business. Has always been good for business. And if you take into account who really runs the household, that's women.
Women. 100%.
People come to our house all the time. My husband like, look, you gotta talk to her. Because I'm gonna run you some numbers. I'm gonna get all the things. And if I don't like the way it looks, it's not coming in here. So I don't care what he does. He even says it. You gotta talk to her. If you don't get her, we're not doing anything. Women run that. So you decide, because I guess you figure this guy's stock is high, allegedly. You decide, well, I'm going to not do anything with diversity. I'm going to exclude people. I'm gonna make them feel like whatever. And then you wonder why your numbers are down. That's stupid. I thought y'all was about business. Clearly not. Clearly not about business. And you don't know your customer, but okay, whatever.
If we could push airlines to be transparent about all the little things that they have and what they're charging us for, every incremental cost, why is this any different? Just different because you're the one that's causing it, and it's counter to what you're trying to portray in any form of media, that this is not it's not Trump's tariffs that are costing us more because he's promising that it was going to be the nations that he's tariff. No, we all knew that to be lies, and he keeps spouting. And you know what it is? As the louder your lie becomes, you think it's going to become the truth, and it's just not
right. I want to take a little sidetrack for a quick second, because you said something about airlines, and I wanted to make mention of it because it's in the news right now. It was on Rachel Maddow's show, and it's something local to here because I live about 5 minutes from Wilmington Airport, and there's a company called Avelo. It's a low budget startup airlines. Kind of like how they're trying to start like how JetBlue started. They're based out of Connecticut, I believe it is, or Massachusetts. Yeah, I think it's Connecticut. But anyway, so there's young startup. They started about a couple of years ago, but within the last year and a half ago, they started flying out of Wilmington, which is like right here. Like there are a couple planes that take off daily. They go to like places like Charlotte, Florida, and a few other places. And they just signed a contract with the U.S. government to have deportees on their planes. And now people are protesting because they are a startup company that is trying to trust the flying public to fly with them, but yet and still you go and sign a contract with the government to use your planes to deport people. And they're not even deporting quote unquote illegal aliens. And I hate when people say this because as a U.S. citizen, you cannot be deported because you are a U.S. citizen. All right. Moving people and bringing them to El Salvador and Venezuela.
That's trafficking.
It is. It's kidnapping and it's trafficking. That's exactly what it is. But, this is what companies are doing. Like, it makes no sense.
So you are going to compromise the integrity of your organization off the jump. I mean, desperate people do desperate things. And, I just don't, if they just weren't being successful, but understand
they weren't
the room and what's your target audience? If your target audience are sort of like private jets, exactly.
They're like I said, they're like a JetBlue, and what they're trying to do is they're a low budget airlines, and they're trying to get people to give and trust people to say, hey, come fly with us. We're very low budget. We don't charge a lot, and we get you to these destinations. They don't have a lot of locales that they go to, but you're trying to start this business, and you're saying that the business is not doing as well, so we need to take this contract. Well, then, you know what? Just take the contract, because now people do not want to fly with you. They're protesting up and down at the airports wherever they are located, because they're even protesting here in Wilmington. But I digress. I want to go kind of get back towards like the Amazon and to even talk. Go ahead, Gwendolyn. Go ahead before we move on.
Move church finger. Move church finger.
Come on. Come down to the
So
altar.
I'm looking at my bookshelf over here, and I'm looking at all of these business leadership books, right? Like Growth ID, Captivate, Peak, Get Different, and every single one of them talks about making sure that your company is rooted in your value, and that if you can get super fans, customers that will promote you without money, without being given anything free, because they believe in what you stand for. I don't understand why somebody in somebody's boardroom somewhere, conference room, is saying, Saint man, looks like we may get a couple of dollars by kidnapping U.S. citizens. I believe this may help us get over the line and go from like the red to the black. Why would you do that? Like at what point do you realize that money is not going to help you when you do stuff that is just morally corrupt? It's like, are you
Dirty
insane?
money.
Like, have
Dirty
y'all not
money.
had any? I'm looking at all these books. What? Clearly, people don't read books anymore. We don't believe in leadership. We don't believe in standing for anything as a company. We don't believe in being 10 toes down.
Or maybe they've seen and read the history of companies that like Barclays or any of these organizations that have built themselves on the backs of slaves and on the backs of corruption, and their success has led people to forget about it. And so, sometimes it's like you have great intentions, and then when you realize that you're not being profitable off of your good intentions, then you're willing to corrupt yourself, and you sell yourself to a society in the world views that that's why you're going after the dollar instead of going after success. And we've seen it over and over.
I was telling your father, I have this huge book of ideas. Like, I literally keep podcast ideas in my head, and I've been sitting on this one idea for a while because I'm still working through it. And the question is, how much is enough? How much is enough? If we all look at how we live our lives, like I look in this room and there's a lot of shit in this room. At some point, I thought I needed it, but is it really a need or a want? So for a company, we need to be profitable. I need to make payroll. I need to be able to pay my vendors. I got to do X, Y, Z. Some of it is a nice to have, right? But at what point do we say, this is enough? I get that the American idea of being successful is to be a fucking colonizer and consume everything you can. Right. I need a biggest house with a 12-car garage, although I only have 2 cars. And I need all the things I can capture because that shows success. That's not.
Yeah. You need 8 bathrooms for a 3-bedroom house.
Right?
Like, make that make sense.
So at what point do we say that was a lie? Because at this point, you can just finance your dream. You can lease the Maserati, lease the house, lease the clothes, lease the jewelry, and do all the things and still be bankrupt in all the ways. It's like, I got the money, I'm still not happy. So the question is, how much is enough? Like, really, for these businesses, if you just make, I don't know, let's say $1 million, but your customers are happy. And the people who work for you come in like, I'm so happy to be here, to be with these great customers and do the work I do. Why is that no longer enough? Now, for some of us, it's enough, right? Because I'm not chasing nothing. I'm in my GG season. I got my grandbabies. I'm on the beach. That's where I am. I don't have to be out here hustling, grinding, doing all this stuff for what? I can't take it with me when I go.
That part.
You all following this hearse. It is not there.
Yeah.
That part.
So the only thing you could take to heaven is your children, because you speak life over them, and hopefully you see them there as well. But big corporations, they're talking about, well, it's my shareholders, and the shareholders don't give a crap about anything, any people. All they care about is, do I see a green or is it red? And if it's red, you better be able to account to why it's red and do whatever you need to do, cut whatever corners you need to do, and get it back to green so that my pockets and my coffers can be good.
Yeah.
And so that's why some folks they're like, I don't want to sell. I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to go public. I'm going to stay right here so that I can keep it the way it's supposed to be. I want to be able to keep the prices where they've always been. I'm not trying to fleece the people. I'm trying to help them. But yeah, it depends on what it is that who's your influence and what is it that you're actually trying to get at the end of the day. Yeah. Even though going to make some money at some point, but
I mean, these companies are all about profit, and if it means firing workers so that they can continue to live their lavish lifestyles and to reap rewards for their shareholders, that's what they're going to do. I mean, look at UPS. UPS just announced that they're going to be doing major layoffs coming up. That's a lot of people. Think about 20,000 people that have lives, that have families, that have people that depend on them to bring an income. That's a lot of people. And then it's a domino effect. Mm-hmm. When you lay off people, those people shop at places, they patronage business, local businesses, they go and buy gas and put in their car. They're going to local Subways, Wawas, and different types of things in grocery stores. When they don't have money, they can't go and do that. And then it's a domino effect. And that's where recession starts to creep in. So we have a clip that we want to play. So play that clip.
Now we're going to turn to UPS announcing layoffs for 20,000 workers and the closing of some facilities. Rebecca Jarvis is back with the big picture. Good morning again, Rebecca.
Yeah, nice to see you, Michael. And these are big job cuts coming to UPS. The company announcing that they will lay off those 20,000 workers and close a number of facilities as it dramatically reduces shipments of Amazon packages, something that's been in the works for quite some time. Like so many companies recently, though, UPS also saying it won't be able to forecast future guidance given the current macroeconomic uncertainty with tariffs. Railroad companies, trucking, airline, and shipping companies have all felt significant slowdowns recently, with U.S. companies effectively sitting on their hands waiting to see how long and how impactful President Trump's tariffs will be on their businesses. Shippers experienced this surge in traffic early in the year as U.S. businesses raced to get ahead of the tariffs and stockpile merchandise and supplies. And now we have this ongoing uncertainty. The more of it that we see, the longer it lasts, the more concerned economists are that it will lead to further job cuts at all sorts of companies, Robin.
Okay.
So they brought out a point that was really important. And you hear a lot of companies now, because we're in earnings seasons where they're reporting their earnings for the last quarter. A lot of these companies are forecasting their projections for growth and profits moving forward. And when you can't do that, you can't dictate how the market's going to go. People are not going to invest. Mm-hmm. And when people don't invest, you start laying people off.
Right.
And UPS is a huge piece of the American economy. I mean, what's going to happen? This summer is going to be very telling. And that's going to lead to a very dark fall for us.
There are just so many things that's causing uncertainty. And there's nothing that's certain.
No.
But right. If we're not getting, because of what's happening right now, we're not getting tourism, and we may think, oh, that's not a big deal. It's not like a smaller countries where they depend on it, but it's a big part of our economy.
It's huge.
In major cities. So if they're not coming in, and there are all these businesses and small businesses that are dependent.
Yes.
We can't even fathom all of the different areas where people coming in are impacting it. And like you said, there's a snowballing effect. The folks that are in the kiosks, and the people that are doing the ship tours, and then it's like all the different restaurants. And if the restaurants are unsure, then the people that are bringing it in, the farmers, and it has such a long reaching effect. And then it's like, all right, so if I don't know what's going to go on, then I'm not going to be able to travel. And if I can't travel, then that's going to impact the airlines. And if the airlines aren't getting enough, customers, then they're going to raise certain prices. Then they're going to start charging for bags, which it's so crazy. Mm-hmm. And it all starts with the fact that we have somebody that's pulling all of the strings that does not grasp at a reasonable level the downstream impact of anything.
None of this had to have happened. He inherited such a great economy, and he is literally destroying it for no reason.
Oh, there's a reason.
Just because I'm saying
he can say, "Look at how great I am at reading."
Right. But that's not a reason. That's idiotic. It's idiotic, and it's the ego of one man. Gwendolyn.
Okay, so if we go with that, there are some people who like to see people in pain, right?
Yes.
I will go past a car accident. I will say prayers and keep driving. I don't do the well, let me see what happened. And it's like, I don't have time for that. I get no pleasure in seeing someone else's trauma. You know what I mean? But you got this guy who does want to see himself as doing amazing things. Like when he signed that EO about truck drivers having to speak English, that shit was already there, has been there. Okay. That was not new. It was not necessary. He's about, can someone put the light on me? But the people who co-sign the BS, what's their motivation? Because clearly there is no plan here. We're just doing random stuff, right? You don't get this far without people enabling you in your foolishness. What's their end game?
Proximity to power.
Yep. That's
power.
Right. It's like, and like, what does that look like? Like, what does that look like if you burn this place down? What does it really look like? I just want to know, because they assume because of the complacency, well, clearly he must be popular, but he only won by like 1 or 7%. And all the other folks who didn't bother to do anything. So you thought, oh, we really got it. And now you realize you never had it. You got people out here looking to probably like tar and feather their representative at some point. They're like, this ain't working. This is not.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's like at what point do you realize you don't have the people, and this idea is not gonna work out for you. Like, grow some cojones, get it together. But I don't. Hey.
So Bryson, I think it was that had the pick that mentioned about Saquon and the Eagles when they went to the White House.
I do want to go back to that. Go ahead.
Because first off, kudos to all of the Eagles that decided they had other things that were more important to do than to go. And
scheduling conflicts.
I do find it interesting that none, at least not based on what I've seen or read, not one white Eagle player decided to support the other black players that said, this is not a place for me to be. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Saquon, who has that platform, the ability to say, I stand for something and I'm not going to. But again, like I said with my friends, I put him in the Tiger Woods kind of category where you're an incredible athlete, but you're not, not all skin folk are kinfolk. He's not kinfolk.
That part.
Mm-hmm.
That part.
That just made it clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think people will show you the true colors when they get an opportunity to. And he pretty much did.
Speechless. I don't get it. That ridiculous comment of, well, he's in the office and I'm respecting that. Ain't nobody. That's not it. That's the whole deal of you gotta decide at some point, when do you say this is not right? And I get that you have your wife, and that's great, and you got your child who will still be seen as black. Understand that too.
Be clear.
This is your moment to say, we are not going to do this because of X, Y, and Z. But you want to go there and shuck and jive and get your proximity. You go ahead, that's fine. Like he has that right. He can do whatever he wants to do. That's all.
Here is the issue and the quandrum that I'm finding myself in, because I remember when they first won, the Eagles organization said that they will not be visiting the White House. When did that change? Like, I don't understand when that changed.
Somebody
they put it out as an organization saying that they will not be visiting the White House this year, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, now we're going.
It's in my opinion, it just feels as if somebody somewhere, a fellow teammate, said, "Hey, I would like to go." Just because he don't want to go doesn't mean that I don't want to go. They probably had a conversation, and those who said A took themselves, and those who are like, "Hey, happy trails, kid." But here's the deal, if I may, for Jalen and for those who decided not to go, this is that moment that some of us had last year when we recognized the people who were in our closest circle that we see every day has some questionable whatever. They have every right to feel the way they feel, to believe that what they want to believe. I get it. But then I look at you and say, if you had the choice, I'd be on your plantation. If you had the choice, like if it comes down to me getting snatched up and put on a plane, you wouldn't lift a finger. You wouldn't even fight for me. Yeah. And you got to ask yourself, like, how are we working together? How are we? But these are professional relationships. We ain't got to be buddy. I got to go out here, get this money, and take it on home.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but that's the difference between people that you're willing to work with and people that you're willing to partner yourself with.
Yes.
Because, when we talk about, sorry, I got to throw a little something biblical in here, but like to be unequally yoked isn't just about marriage. It's about any relationship that you put yourself in. If you two can't agree and move forward, then there's going to be some puzzle. Oh, well, I think we should be doing this. You're not aligned. If there's no alignment, clarity, and you can't move forward in the same direction. So
absolutely
cut off. I'm better on my own.
Oh, wait. The doorbell. Are we expecting more guests?
That wasn't me. I didn't hit it this time.
Hello.
Is that my Uber Eats?
Look who it is. You're muted, sir. You're muted. We can't hear you.
He's like, oh.
Here we go. Hello, y'all.
Hello, and welcome to Touch Base Daily. How are you?
Oh, so good to be here. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yes.
So anyway, I was doing the production behind the scenes today, and not bad, right? Not bad. But
I think it was really good. Really good.
Rock. You guys carried the show like a pro.
Well, we had a good leader.
Yeah.
And before we move on, there are two topics that Gwendolyn has that I want her to touch on. So Gwendolyn, get into it.
Okay, well, really quick, and I'll leave it as people can go and investigate, and we could talk more about it later because it's one of those topics. But the Texas Senate, they have passed a bill, it's passed in the Senate, that they are going to shut down ways to get abortion pills in this state. It does carry a penalty of $100,000, pardon me, and that does include judges, right? So if you have somebody who is manufacturing, doing any kind of distribution, if you can be charged with helping a woman have an abortion, or if you are a law firm and you want to represent someone, this is meant to deter them from taking those kinds of cases because you will be charged with all the legal fees for both sides. And there was a point where a person said, hey, does this mean that you're going to add an amendment that a woman cannot be charged criminally if this happened? And he decided to not add that amendment. So we'll be watching this. They keep talking about protecting women, protecting children. Ain't nobody buying that brand.
I have a question. Does that mean that if someone is shipping those pills from out of state to someone in the state, that they can be prosecuted?
Yes. The moment that we made the dumb laws that we made here to protect women, a number of women have been seeking mail order options to get that medicine in. And people forget. No, not people. These white men forget. Since they don't have a uterus and they don't go through all these things, there are things that have to be done that need that medication to complete a miscarriage. But because you're so ignorant and you don't know about anything, you just feel like I'm in my right to play all the roles and tell you, woman, I'm protecting you, so I'm going to stop you from doing what needs to be done to save you and the baby. That's what that is.
Well, they don't care.
Wow. Well, anyways, y'all have carried an amazing show. I was watching people in Instagram and all other places, and I was like, look at these folks. Great topics, great shares. And this is where we are. I love what y'all were talking about with the pushback when it came to the interview last night. That was like, I almost went to TikTok and did one of my rages, but I said, no, wrong little bit. No, don't do it. But again, we need pushback. We need all the time. And what is, again, lacking for the mainstream media is the pushback. If they would just learn to fact check this dude and check him in time. Real time.
No,
Mr. President. No, Mr. President. This is what's happening.
No. They had to say, you are lying. People just start saying, you're a liar. You are a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar.
That doesn't even stop him. You saw it in that same interview.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And he's like, no, it says it. And the reporter's like, the reporter is even trying to move on. Like, no, it's not. You're wrong. Let's move on. And he's like, no. He's got the tattoos, Mr. President. Let's move on.
It was Photoshop.
Yes. Let's agree to disagree, he said.
And then remember back.
And then he asked him, "Why won't you just say that this is like, yeah, I'm not doing it."
It's not, yeah, I'm not saying because it's wrong. It's a lie.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Why
I'm
don't
gonna
you
have
say
to.
the sky is purple?
You guys, I was like, yeah, baby, you guys can do this stuff. I just love it. I just love it. And Mr. Adrian was on here today.
Yes. Dropping knowledge.
I really thought Adrian was going to give us more numbers and information when it came to the stock market and the money and all that stuff, because he has great insight of Wall Street and the stocks and the bonds and the downrated consumer. He knows all this stuff. I was like, son, why are you talking?
I could have gotten into the details, but it's just scary. Let's be clear right now. And you know, the whole point of taking something so that you can get credit for bringing it back up. That was kind of the point I was making earlier too. Is just it's psychotic. And you know, so let me just beat you down. So like it's almost like the military mentality, right? When you go into this, like we're gonna break you down so we can build you up. That doesn't work economically.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Again, with the economy the way it is, and again, who the mindset of tearing something down before you've built something that's already to take its place.
Yeah.
Now it would have been something to say, okay, we spent 5 years building manufacturing plants. We are all set up. Our economies are ready. Everything's in place. Okay, now we're weaning ourselves off of China and all the rest of the world. But no, this is an idiot, and that's all to it. He's a freaking idiot.
But the other thing is too. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't sound good to hear. But there are significant efficiencies that we could find in the federal government.
Yes.
It's not this way.
Yes.
No.
There's nothing business, like there's no business sense behind it either. And you can be, well, you know,
he's not a businessman. No. And he's hired all the worst people, not the best people, the worst people.
And none of the people are experts in what they do, and hire experts, surround themselves with experts.
He said let's not go there, because that's just a dumb,
you don't have time today for that, Adrian.
That is let me say clearly who this man. He is a dumb motherfucker. Okay.
I'm gonna tell your mama, Chris.
Gwendolyn, I said that for you.
Oh, I appreciate it.
He has no law degree. He knows nothing. No medical degree. He knows nothing. But yet he's making decisions that will affect us and will kill us.
And will kill us. Yes, indeed. Well, Chris, you got the last word. I don't think anyone can have any words stronger than what you just had.
Look, sometimes you have to tell the truth.
You gotta tell the truth. So guys, tomorrow we have our Trend Watch Thursday. You probably say, why is Ron here? My photo shoot today with Forbes was they changed at the last minute, so it may be next week. So I'll be doing it. So I had a postponement. So I ended up staying here, but I do have another photo shoot this evening at the Empire State Building. So I'll be busy, but it's a busy day here in my world. But I did use the opportunity to clean up the house and get things ready. Adrian, you and I have to talk about some things and get some things for you. And but guys, thank you so much. And tomorrow, again, we'll have our Touch Base Daily Trend Watch, which is all about the headlines anyway. So we'll be here. Chris and I will be leading that tomorrow. And that's it. And I'm getting ready to meet my broker because I guess he has a potential buyer before the house is on the market. So that's another whole story. So things are moving on. Oh,
hey, no fireworks.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, Ron got it. Oh, Adrian's struggling today.
Adrian's struggling. He's struggling over there. And I see here's 9. I'm looking at the comments in the box here. Okay, all you guys, awesome. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, I didn't start the show. So Chris, you guys,
well, thank you guys for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you tomorrow on Touch Base Daily. Goodbye, everybody.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you.
Thank you again. Until I see you next time.